Hello everybody, my name is NinjaX the Enlightened Gamer. Welcome to a new Enlightened Vlogs. Today, I'm doing a twofer, because these two topics I don't think are unrelated. But the main point that I need to start off with is respect. What is respect exactly? How do you show it? How do you communicate it? And how do you live it? Unfortunately, very few live that know. Very few have ever lived that know, really. Even fewer that still live. Respect is earned and it can be lost. But forgiveness is also an act of respect. If somebody does many good things for you and then they screw up and do something bad, of course you hold them accountable for their mistake, but that doesn't mean you have to uproot everything they've done for you that was good, or for other people. And we live in a very cynical, really in a lot of ways, dark era. Because there's no necessity of survival, people always tend to look up the darkest parts of the world like they're the only parts. That is not the enlightened way. It's not the intelligent way, and it's certainly not the correct way. On to the other part. This is leading into a discussion about YouTubers versus Nintendo. I'm sure by now all of you have heard about the copyright scandals between Nintendo and their YouTubers. People produce Nintendo content or try to produce Nintendo content just to have the copyright IDs make it so that they can't make anything off of it. YouTuber salaries aren't that big. We're chasing our dreams. But there are very few that make a modest living off of YouTube. And most that do find it a very temporary modest living. That's the secret to being a great YouTuber. Many people used to think, and unfortunately some still do, that going viral is a good thing, that that's what you want to do. You want to go viral, you want to get your name out there, you want everybody to know who you are. No. Fast, explosive growth is no growth at all. It's death. You boom onto the scene and everybody knows who you are, but then because everybody knows who you are, they stop talking about you because everybody already knows. Backlash hits, and all of a sudden, you're less than nothing. You're less than when you started. I'm not going to sit here and defend Nintendo because from a moral standpoint, what Nintendo is doing is wrong. They're taking lifelong fans, lifelong supporters, some of their biggest supporters, and kicking them in the crotch repeatedly to the point where they turn on Nintendo. It's disrespectful of Nintendo to do this to YouTubers. But it's also disrespectful for those YouTubers to turn on them because of it. Respect isn't a one-way street. It's not, you will worship me because I am me and myself, and I and you are nyeh. Because I and myself. Me. No. You respect somebody, and there needs to be a return. They will respect you back, whether or not they're aware of it. They may respect you as a rival, even as an enemy. But there will be some degree of acknowledgement. And some degree, hopefully, of sympathy and cooperation. Unfortunately, we currently live in a world that doesn't know the meaning of the word respect. And that is the problem between Nintendo and YouTube. Nintendo openly and brazenly disrespects YouTubers by saying that, by belittling them and by trying to take away their jobs, basically. Jobs that they worked very hard to do. A lot of YouTubers brush it off because it doesn't look good to seem like you're trying. It looks cooler and it certainly looks funnier if it looks like things come or don't come naturally to you. But the real reality of it is, and I've sat in on live streams where other YouTubers have made videos that have far more skill and far more dedication than I do. The actual real reality is, some of the stuff that YouTubers do is staggering. Now, I'm not putting everybody into that category. There's definitely a difference between some YouTubers and others. Some lack the skills to put in the same kind of effort that others do. Because why are you going to waste 10 days on something that you don't know if any of it's going to work out? YouTubers ultimately are entrepreneurs. And many of us, especially those of us who get paid, treat YouTube like a business. That's why there's a boom in inexpensive indie games right now. It's not just because of this business with Nintendo. Don't lie to yourself. You're running a business. The thing that I'm afraid of, and certainly not all these games, this doesn't apply to all the games that are inexpensive to make or inexpensive to play, because there are rare exceptions. But we've got to understand, games like Shovel Knight, games like Cave Story, they're not the norm. They're the exception. And they are exceptional games. There are always going to be exceptional games, exceptional indie games, exceptional AAA games, old and new. There are even exceptional demos that then get shelved because blank is going to make more money. Why should Capcom work on a new Mega Man Legends when the first Mega Man Legends was met with moderate success, and the second even less so? When they can continue to crank out Street Fighter and Dead of the Dead that died deadishly deading. I don't play zombie games, so I don't even know the title, to be perfectly honest, but I do know that Dead or Alive. No, that's the volleyball. Maybe not. I don't know. But you understand the point. I'm not going to sit here and say that Nintendo's in the right, that what they've done is correct, because it's not. By all accounts, it's disgusting the way they've treated their most loyal fans. Nintendo. I love you guys. I support you guys. I think I'll always support you guys. But I know a lot of the charm of Nintendo is that they are stuck in the past in a lot of ways. Very tried and true, very dwarvish mentality. And I'm speaking dwarves as in Middle-earth dwarves, not as in people suffering from dwarfism, because that would be kind of offensive. I mean that they have a stubborn, we know the right path and we're going to do that regardless of what anybody else tells us or what our figures tell us sort of mentality. And there's certainly things that are admirable about that. I'm not going to take anything away from you guys. You're great. You've done great things, and you'll probably continue to do great things. But greatness doesn't excuse brazen disrespect. Acting like people who work for YouTube full-time with Nintendo product and then promote that product don't have real jobs. They're entrepreneurs. There is no realer job in this world. Very, very, very high risk with very little chance of any real reward. And YouTube has become so cluttered with people, with imitators, that it's become cutthroat in a lot of ways. Where people sacrifice artistic integrity and sacrifice expense and quality production in order to crank out crap after crap after crap. There's only so many times you can see somebody play a Flappy Bird clone before your brain starts to implode and you turn into a mini black hole. I hate to be this negative guy, because, as I've said, I don't think that pessimism and negativity is the answer. But for the life of me, I don't see an answer. Other than respect. The most respected lords and ladies are the ones who can appreciate and relate to the help. YouTubers are the help. Especially Nintendo YouTubers. Essentially servants of Nintendo and other gaming companies. We get the word out. We show that we love these games, your games. And then you stomp on us for it. We wear your characters. We talk about fun times that we've had. We discuss deeper artistic meaning. When some game developers hear that games can be art, that video games are art and their creators artists, and all they can say is, we stand up and say, no, these are art. The only time they aren't is if they're not being created as art. The Legend of Zelda, the wonderful worlds in Super Mario and Banjo-Kazooie, the tropical climates, mysteries, and trials of the Donkey Kong series. Even the most menial games can have art in them if somebody cares enough to look for it. We respect you. Now we need you to respect us too. And another thing, really quick before I finish this off, I know this vlog is probably going to go on a bit longer than some others. I want to say right now, Nintendo is not the only guilty party. So people need to stop treating them like they are. I have had a total of 2 videos copyright blocked by Nintendo. I don't need the money. It doesn't worry me that much. I'm like, okay, they can take ad revenue for those few videos. I have no problem for that. But my entire Fable series has been copyright blocked. Again, I'm okay with it. I don't need the money. My point is, Nintendo isn't the only aren't the only perpetrators here. I'll relate it to professional sports. Let's say, I'll use an example that doesn't exist. I'll use an example in baseball. Let's say 3 teams are caught corking their bats. To those of you who don't know, cork is a denser and more flexible material than wood, so putting it inside a baseball bat causes balls to fly off much faster and hits to the head from a baseball hit by a corked bat are worse than that from a metal bat. Lethal. Not to mention you get extra distance out of your hits, which is just breaking the rules brazenly. So let's say 3 teams are caught doing this. I'm sorry if I name a baseball team that you're fond of. I'm just doing this at complete random. I don't even know all of the baseball teams. Let's say the Atlanta Braves, the Chicago White Sox, and the New York Yankees. All 3 of those teams get caught doing that on a corporate level. And then MLB comes down hard on just the Yankees. I'm not a Yankees fan. I can't watch baseball. This is just an example. But they do it because the Yankees are the bigger name. The Yankees have the longer lasting legacy of those 3 teams. When people think of World Series championships, they probably are thinking about at least 1 or 2 Yankees teams. When in fact, all 3 were guilty, only 1 was being punished because of a lack of respect. A lot of people don't respect Nintendo simply because they haven't made mature adult games. Disregarding the fact that they were the very first home console to port Mortal Kombat, which created the ESRB, and then continued to make games like Conker's Bad Fur Day and Perfect Dark. And then even in the GameCube days, there were a few. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Oh, the GameCube days, they had the only Zelda ever made that was not rated E for everyone in Twilight Princess, T for Teen. I'm not going to say Nintendo's in the right doing this, but neither is Microsoft. Neither are other people. I'm not going to say Sony's guilty of it because I honestly haven't seen anybody complain about Sony doing copyright. And they've been really good about it. Sony is the example to live up to in terms of YouTube copyright. And because of it, sales of PS4 through the roof. Unfortunately, there aren't very many solid games for PS4 that aren't also either grotesque or bro games, or aren't also for Xbox One or PC. But you know, I love Sony. I love Sony. I love Nintendo. I love what little is left of Sega. I have a hard time saying I love Microsoft after what they did with Rare, but I forgive them. I still will buy Xbox games. I still will buy PC games because they're good games. I have too much respect to let disgust cloud that. I'm a gamer first and a critic second because I respect the people that make these living pieces of artwork. I hope you'll do the same as well. I also hope until the next time, you will stay enlightened.